Well, good morning, everyone. It is Bree here, and you know what today is. We are doing another episode of the Publishing Room. All right. And today we're going to be talking about ISBNs, copyright ownership, and distribution. Amen. And so we are excited to be doing that. And so, once again, my name is Bree Smith. I am the founder and CEO of Kingdompreneur Publishing. Hallelujah. And here is the publishing room where we teach you how to publish your books with clarity, excellence, and strategy, right? So last week we talked about what book cover designs and first impressions and all that. This week we're going to be talking, like I said, about ISBNs, copyright ownership, and distribution. All right. So why does these things matter? Why does this matter? Okay. Number one, okay. Um, if we try to rush through this stage, okay, because we assume it's easy, right? We're gonna miss, right? Just very, very strategic things, okay, to ensure that our books are being properly published. All right. And like I was telling y'all last week, you want to make sure that you own your work, right? And so whoever you get, so whether you're self-publishing, right, you know you're gonna own your work. But if regardless, if you go with like a traditional publishing model, or if you go with a hybrid publisher such as myself, you want to make sure you own your work, because if they own any of that, then that can really affect, right, money. It can affect all kind of things, right? And I know I have a friend right now, a sister in Christ. She was explaining to me her story about what happened with her and her book, and it was very an unfortunate situation because she trusted the person, to do her book. They did it, and then instead of, still trying to work with her through the process, making sure that she understood every step of the process, they took her book without her permission and just put it online, and didn't even try to give her, like, on Amazon, and didn't even try to give her the credentials or anything behind that. And so, guys, you want to make sure you're really careful, right? She was able to get the book off Amazon, right? But the girl is still selling the book overseas, and she's not supposed to do that. She shouldn't even be claiming any type of rights to this book, to this story, right? And so we're going to help her republish that book. But it's stories like this all the time, guys, that, people are talking about because, they haven't truly learned how to properly protect themselves. And like I said, you want to be the owner of your story. And it is important, I don't care who you work with, whether it's a traditional publisher or a hybrid publisher, that you have some type of contract proposal in place that protects the publisher, but it also protects you, because it makes sure that the publisher's doing everything that they said they were going to do, right? And then too, like I said, in that contract, it should say you get 100%. You have 100% ownership of this. You have 100%. You own 100% of the royalties from this, right? Unless it's like some type of co-author situation, and that's like a whole different ball game. Okay. But I'm just saying, like, when it comes to that, do you see what I'm saying? Not saying that, if you're the visionary of a co-author book, that you are not going to be the main one keep benefiting from, the proceeds of that book, because you're going to be the one putting out a lot of the money and all that. Um, but like I said, if it's a co-author book, then, each person should be able to have the ability to benefit from that book. But like I said, it's all in how you do your contracts too, right? And like I said, the person, they can just be able to order books and be able to receive 100% royalties from the books that they sell personally. And then of course you as the visionary can get whatever books you sell through whatever channels you've set up, you know what I mean? So I don't want nobody thinking like you can't do a co-author book and you're not going to get paid. Like, you can. It's just the way that you have to structure those things. Amen. All right, guys. And so let's dive into this. Okay, let's dive into today's teaching. So, understanding ISBNs. What is an ISBN? Okay, so it's an international standard book number. Okay, it's a unique identifier for books in the marketplace. Okay, unique identifier. I'm trying to see if I don't have a book on my desk. I'm trying to see if I can show y'all. Let's see. Give me 1 second, y'all. See if I got a book on my desk. Okay, I think I got a Bible on my desk. Okay, yeah, perfect example. Okay, so right here's the Bible, the Jewish Bible. So on the back of here, they have an ISBN number. Okay, guys, right here. All right. So that's a unique identifier. Okay. There is only one place in the world where you can get an ISBN. Okay. And it's called Bowker. That's Bowker. And I'm sorry I can't share my screen. I was trying to work it out, but yeah, StreamYard's acting a little funky today, so we're not gonna worry about sharing screens. But you go to Bowker.com, okay? Now, you can get this ISBN by itself, right? You can get a pack of 10. I think it's like $295 if you get a pack of 10. I think you can even go up from there. But like I was telling y'all before, you really want to get the one that has the ISBN and the barcode. Now, just for one of those, an ISBN and a barcode, and remember, we're going with the what? The 9,000 barcode, because if you try to get the other ones and you lock yourself into a price, you're going to be locked in. Okay. And that's it. So if the Lord might tell you, hey, run a special on here, here, you can, if you want to increase your price later or whatever. If you get that other barcode where it's locked into that price, it's gonna be that price forever. So I'm just letting you know. Get the one with the 9,000 barcode. But it is $150. Okay. But if you go to Bowker, okay, you can even Google ISBN with barcode, and it automatically should take you to the Bowker website, and it should show you. Matter of fact, I think I'm on there now, where it's going to bring up the ISBNs. And like I said, it shows you 10 ISBNs on the side for $295, one ISBN that's for $125, and then a pack of 100 ISBNs for $575, and then a pack of 1,000 ISBNs for $1,500. Now, let's say you can get 10 ISBNs, 5 barcodes, and even a QR plus code. That's for $395. Okay. Now it kind of sucks because they only give you 5 barcodes. You see what I'm saying? You get 5 barcodes with 10 ISBNs. Now, they also have a package that gives you 10 ISBNs with 1 barcode, and that's $320. Okay. And then last but not least, you could do the 1 ISBN for the 1 barcode, which is $150, which is what we go with. Like I said, because I want to make sure that you have your own individual barcode and you have your own individual ISBN, right? I know it's going to be a lot more, but it's worth it in the end. Like I said, when choosing the barcode, do the 9,000 barcode. Okay. Now, why does this matter? This helps resellers track and distribute your books. It connects your book to publishing systems, right? Some people might even choose to try to get their books in libraries and things of that nature, which is a whole nother beast within itself. But you want to be able to have all the right markings so that this book can be found and ordered and all that. So this is why we want to make sure that we have a professional barcode on the book, right? Who owns the ISBN? Like I said, it's either going to be the publisher that published the book, or it's going to be the self-publisher, right? The author, if they self-publish their book. How this affects publishing control? Like I said, your publisher is just the controller of how the book is published, as well as how the book is distributed. Like I said, some people choose to do their entire thing start to finish because, like I said, some people have learned the Tyler Perry model of business, which is, hey, I'm going to do everything myself. That way I don't have to worry about no hiccups. I know it's done properly, all that. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Right? I've published several books like that. Okay. And so you got to remember the ISBN connected to your book determines who is recognized as the publisher. Okay. So like I said, most 9 times out of 10, it's going to be your publisher that's getting the ISBN. And then if you're not going to use a publisher, then it's going to be yourself that's purchasing the ISBN. All right. Next part, we want to talk about copyright and ownership. Okay. And so remember when I was going back and I was telling you guys about my friend, my sister, who had told me recently about what happened with her book. And I think it's horrible, what happened, because that lady had no right, even though she might have been a ghostwriter and helped her write that book, she still had no right to take that woman's story, right, and sell it. You know what I'm saying? Like without her permission, none of that. But see, that's what happens when we don't have contracts in place. So this is what I'm saying. Protect yourself. Make sure you have a contract and a proposal, and everything's outlined in that contract and that proposal, right? That the publisher is supposed to do. Now they might go above and beyond for you, but whatever's in that in the contract, that's all they are supposed to do. No more, no less. Okay. And so when it comes to copyright basics, you want to copyright and protect your intellectual property, right? Um, and like I said, there's sometimes, like I said, you could do that 2 ways. And we talked about that last time. You could either do a poor man's copyright, where you you print off a copy of your final draft and you go to the UPS store, you go to the United States Postal Service, and you send you send that to yourself in the mail, certified mail, right? You can do it completely cheap that way. Or if you just go through the US Copyright Office, it's only $65. You know what I mean? And when you do it that way, you have to do it within the first 1 to 3 months of when the book is about to be published. And because this is going to guarantee that you have legal protection. Not saying, I mean, I think you got up to 5 years, but it says within the first 3 months, it's going to give you the ultimate protections. So don't try to wait. Don't try to do it in the 4th month. Don't try to do it in the 5th year. Do it in the first 3 months of this book coming out, being published, okay? To ensure, you see what I'm saying, that your book is being protected. So just like the example I was giving y'all with my friend, like if she would have did that, you know what I mean? Not saying that she still can, but she would have had a better claim. You see what I'm saying? To be able to really press legal charges against this person who stole her work. You see what I'm saying? And so, like I said, I know with my packages, it's not automatically included. But I'm just letting y'all know, if you do want to get your book copyrighted, you can, right? It's only $65. Because I am the middleman, if I'm doing it, it's gonna be an extra fee. It's not gonna be that much though. I'm not gonna kill nobody for that. But like I said, you can do it yourself to copyright your book, okay? Because it helps defend against infringement cases. All right. And like I said, ownership matters, okay? Because you don't want to accidentally give up control, right? If you sign poor agreements. So this is what I'm saying. Really make sure you understand what's going on in the contracts, what's going on in the proposals. And like I said, the publisher has to, whatever is outlined in them contracts, they have to fulfill it. But like I said, you want to make sure that there is something in that contract that says 100% ownership and 100% royalties. Unless somehow they have a bookstore, some people do, you know what I mean? They might have an online bookstore, or they might have a physical bookstore. And then for that, that's probably going to be a different conversation. You know what I mean? But if you're the one that's going to be just responsible for selling your own book, and like I said, your publisher is not selling your book at all, then yeah, you need to have 100% royalty rights on that. Okay. So remember, ownership should always remain clear and protected when it comes to stuff like this, guys. Now, when we're looking at distribution platform and setup, okay. And so, there's different distributors. There's a whole bunch of them out there. I know everybody normally knows about Amazon KDP. Now, we'll say you can use them, but just remember, because they're more like a print on demand, so you'll be able to get your author copies through them, which I love. Like I said, you can put it on their website and all that. But remember, because Amazon is hosting it on their site, and they're going to be the ones responsible for printing, it's going to eat a little bit into your royalties. So I'm just giving you that heads up. But if you don't mind that, because you don't want to be the person responsible for shipping out the book, paying for the book, paying to get the book, produced, and then shipping it out, by all means, I think that's a really good deal, right? But like I said, we can also use print on demand platforms. I like to use Lulu, because I think Lulu is a very good print on demand place. You can buy your author copies there for a good cheap price. And then, like I said, you can go and set up your own website. You hear me? Like, set up your own author website. So with you setting up your own author website, you're going to be the responsible person to make sure that you have enough books in stock. And then you're going to be the one getting the person's, email address, all that. But I would say, like, I would have a price for my book, and then I would tell the people I would have a separate price for shipping and handling. Don't mess yourself up. You know how much your book is. Okay, yeah, that's how much the book is by itself, but how much do I gotta pay for shipping and handling? Do you see what I'm saying? And so you want to make sure that you're not cutting yourself short, because that could really eat into the cost of, like, that shipping and handling, depending on where you're shipping it to, can really eat into your costs, your royalties, your profits, all that. So I'm just saying, just make sure you're careful with that. But that's how I would set mine up. I would get me an author page, set it up where people can order my book, and then, like I said, from there, once they can order the book, you ship it out, and I would tell those people, I would tell them, listen, shipping is between 2 to 4 weeks, you know, it's that way, hey, or 2 to 6 weeks. That way, it protects yourself, and then people will know, like, oh, okay, it's going to take between 2 to 6 weeks to get this back. So I shouldn't be expecting this right away. So if there's any hiccups along the way, you see what I'm saying, with any type of shipping or whatever, listen, it's already, you protected yourself. That's just how I would do that if I was going to sell my book and ship it, okay? So explain how, okay, proper setup. Okay, so like I said, you want to make sure you have your correct royalty payments. Like I said, it's really going to depend on, are you using somebody like Amazon? Because even though with your publisher, they're not taking any of your royalty rights, right, or your money. Remember, if you use a place like Amazon, they're going to be taking some of them royalties. So you just kind of got to know, you know what I'm saying? And I think they show you a calculator of how much, you would get from the profit of the book being on Amazon and all that. Or like I said, if you choose to be the boss and you like, nah, I'm gonna go ahead and just give me like about 10, 20 books, and I'm gonna set up my own author website, and I'm gonna ship these books out myself, then you can do that. And like I said, you'll be saving a lot of money, and you'll be keeping 100% of the royalties at that point and making profit from your book. But it just depends on, how much you really want to be a part of the process. Okay. And so when we look at distribution determines where your book can be found and how readers can access it. And like I said, I just told you about 2 different types of ways of distribution, but there's so many other distributors out there. You just have to find the ones that work for you. You got to find the one that works for you, because not everybody is a good distributor. You know what I mean? And then there's some that's really, really expensive. So just be careful on that. Okay. All right. So guys, like I said, you want to make sure, like I said, the only place in the world where you can buy an ISBN is where? Bowker.com. BOWKER. That's it. You want to get the Bowker, you want to get the ISBN that has the barcode attached to it. They do have other ones, but remember, you want a barcode attached, okay? And like I said, you can get the other one, but just know that that pack, they're only going to give you a pack of 5 barcodes. So just be careful with that. That's all I'm saying. Be careful with that. Okay. Like I said, I like to get the one that's the one ISBN, one barcode. Okay. Make sure that you have that you are part of the publishing process. Don't just have somebody publish your book and you don't know what's going on. They should be giving you weekly updates about what is going on in the publishing process. When they purchase the ISBN, do you like this cover design? Do you like the interior formatting? Do you feel like we missed something? Is there something that you want to change? Like, you should be a part of that process. And if you are not, you don't have any type of buy-in, you need to run. You need to get out of that, because how do you do business like that? You know what I mean? Like, it's your book. You still gotta, have buy-in to it. Okay. And like I said, research when it comes to distributors, because there might be one that's better for you. You know what I mean? I know there's a distributor out there that does it worldwide, and I think they can get you in the libraries, and they could do a whole bunch of stuff. I just know it costs. You know what I mean? So like I said, you just got to figure out which distributor is going to work for you. Okay. All right, guys. And so how does Kingdompreneur Publishing fit into all of this, right? And so we pretty much help the authors. What we help you get the ISBNs and the barcode, so you don't have to worry about doing that yourself, right? That's included in the package. We also help you determine which distribution setup. Like I said, we go with Amazon, KDP, or Lulu. And it's just going to depend on what you tell me of what you want to do, whether you want to sell the book yourself or whether you just want to put it on Amazon and be done with it, right? So that'll determine how we set up distribution setup. As far as the publishing structure, like I said, we would have already been going from day one, giving you weekly updates about what's going on. Hey, you like this cover design? Hey, we need your author bio. We need the back of the book blurb. Hey, we need this, we need that. You know what I mean? Like, you would have been a part of the process. You're going to be a part of the process every step of the way, right? And then also, too, guys, no, like I said, we have several publishing packages. We have one that's the cheapest one is for $3.97, and that's our seed package, and it goes all the way up to our sovereign package, which is for $19.97. Okay, so we have 5 publishing packages, and like I said, each package just determines how much promotional and marketing services you want to include. We also have separate marketing and promotional services, everything from if you want to run Amazon ads, book ads, if you're on Amazon, if you just want to run regular ads, if you need social media management, if you just want an author page setup, if you want to do press releases, right? We also have our call to write interviews. We got all that stuff, guys. So like I said, we could be helping you with that. And then last but not least, we do offer consultation for authors. So we have our author consult, we have our self-publishing consult, and we have our marketing and branding consults, right? And so author consult would just be more so you're looking for clarity, right, on how to write your book a little bit better. Maybe you don't really fully understand your target market and audience, so we help you with that. Self-publishing is more so like, hey, I've already written my book. I just need steps, next steps on how to do this myself. Well, we walk you step by step on what to do to make sure that your book is published with excellence yourself. And then last but not least, we have the marketing package. So this is just showing you how to properly promote and market your book. And if you want to turn your book into a brand where it's completely a whole ecosystem based upon that, we can show you how to do that as well. So that's everything we do here at Kingdompreneur Publishing LLC. And guys, if you have any questions and if you would like to book a discovery call today, you can. We have a QR code on the screen. All you got to do is take out your cell phone and click that camera app and click that link, and it'll take you right to be able to sign up to have a publishing call with me. Or you can send us a DM. So send me a private DM, or you can send us an email at info@kingdompreneurpublishing.com if you have any questions. Okay, guys. Well, guys, we thank you for joining us this week. And we look forward to seeing you next week. All right. Bye bye.